A beloved pastor's wife turns up dead in the freezer. For years, he's been telling people she died in childbirth. Take a listen.
An individual by the name of Anthony Hopkins was arrested, detained in Jackson, Alabama. We believe that the body to be that of a black female, 36 years of age, of Arletha Hopkins. We're treating this as a homicide at this point. All we know is that we had a body in a freezer.
Anthony Hopkins is in jail charged with murder, rape, sodomy, and incest. He will be in court for the first time tomorrow morning. That is when a judge will decide whether to set his bond.
Found Arletha's body. They arrested her husband, a traveling preacher, while giving a sermon in Jackson, Alabama on forgiveness. Church members couldn't believe charges against Anthony Hopkins. The couple's daughter blew the case wide open. She told police 4 years ago her father killed her mother because she walked in on him molesting her. The daughter also said her father dumped the body in Sims, then buried it in a shallow grave behind an old church in Jackson before putting it in the freezer.
Can you show the camera how you think you look when you abuse? When you're actually doing the physical sexual act?
Okay.
Can you go to that person, Oliver?
That's that person now.
This is Father Oliver O'Grady, a former Catholic priest. The church knew he was a child abuser.
How about how you would greet that little girl you were grooming? Just use the name Sally.
Hi Sally, how you doing? Come here, I want to give you a hug. You're a sweetheart, you know that. Very special to me. I like you a lot.
Instead of reporting O'Grady, the church hid him from the authorities. No mistake, but part of a secret church directive. The man responsible for enforcing it was Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger. Now Pope Benedict XVI. 14 years old, Colin was raped by Father Sean Fortune.
On Sunday mornings, after Fortune had abused me, he'd leave me in his bed, in the bedroom in the house there, and come down and say First Mass in it. And I remembered that he used to come back after saying First Mass and sometimes abuse me again, and then I'd have to go downstairs with him and have breakfast, and then come down here for the second Mass and sit and watch him say Mass.
The church knew Father Fortune was a paedophile, but failed to inform the police. Instead, it moved him from parish to parish. He was finally exposed and killed himself on the eve of his criminal trial. In October last year, when the Ferns report was published, it exposed a cover-up involving more than just one priest.
The Ferns report makes disturbing reading. It details allegations of the rape and abuse of over 100 girls and boys made against 26 priests from this small rural diocese. It says that there was a culture of secrecy and a fear of scandal that led bishops to place the interests of the Catholic Church ahead of the safety of children.
Most people come to this church for a spiritual experience, but Crystal Rowland decided she wanted a spiritual and sexual experience. So according to police, she urged her boyfriend to break into this church so they could have sex on the altar. Over more than a century in Sanderson, a lot has happened inside Mount Zion Primitive Baptist Church. Weddings, baptisms, prayer services. But on March 11th, there was a first for these four walls. According to deputies, a couple was having sex.
I was shocked.
In 40 years as a deacon at the small church, Lonzie Altman has never heard anything like it.
I don't know what has become of the people. Somebody that would just do something like that in a church.
Baker County deputies got a call last week about a suspicious vehicle. When they arrived, deputies found 24-year-old Crystal Rowland and 28-year-old Matthew.
We spoke to a Westmoreland County woman who claims to have frequented the Swingers Club at least twice a month for several years. She says the Church of Spiritual Humanism is anything but. She claims it was all sex all the time.
No, it's not a church. It's more than a church. It is actually a sex club. There is things that you would not believe behind closed doors.
Wishing to keep her identity hidden, the woman details what was pegged on the internet as the Swingers Palace, not the spiritual palace that Reverend John Ondrick and his wife claim it is.
There's a kitchen, and then there is a living room, and then in the other living room they have a big screen TV where they put adult movie on. Then upstairs is where all the playing activity goes on. There is transvestites, there's cross-dressers. You don't have to do anything. You can watch or you can participate.
Others who claim to have been inside say it's filled with beds, black lights, and sexually themed rooms.
It's $50 for couples, $75 for single men, and free for the single ladies.
That fee is what's prompting North Huntington Township to take a closer look. The operation, whatever it is not illegal, but officials say it's really a business being run in a residential area. To continue, Reverend Ondrick is asking the zoning board for a variance, and they'll be obligated to grant him one if he can prove he's running a church. More than 30 neighbors signed a petition against the variance and presented it to the board this week.
I enjoyed going there. I enjoyed meeting people.
There's nothing unusual about this two-story building tucked away off Turner Valley Road. A small sign by the building's side door says this is the non-denominational Church of Spiritual Humanism for private members, not open to the public. Nobody answered when I knocked at the door, and while the sign says it's a church, seeing is not necessarily believing.
When you go upstairs into the rooms, it's like walking into a porno, because everybody's having fun. And that's what it all boiled down to, is having fun and enjoy the partner you're with or whoever.
Tom didn't want to be identified. He told me he and his girlfriend had been to the alleged church dozens of times, and it never had anything to do with religion. It had everything to do with sex.
Sometimes there would be an orgy, and other times it was just a small group. But nothing's ever got out of hand down there for them in order to call the cops or anything like that.
You may be seated.
This ring is a symbol
of my unconditional love
and support
for you throughout time. John, take that ring and place it on Ron's finger and repeat after me. This ring is a symbol
This ring is a symbol
of my unconditional love
of my unconditional love